Daphne sacrificed not a distant memory. It is a living warning, because press freedom is never won forever. It is a daily battlefield, and we live in a time when the freedom of information is under attack from many, many sides. The intimidation of journalists, as we have seen recently in Italy with the grave case against Sigfrido Ranucci, whose car exploded due to a bomb. It is a worrying sign of a deeper crisis that crosses our democracies.
Now, to all of this year's finalists, congratulations. You remind us that journalism is not just a job, it is a public service, a pillar of our democracy, and that is why your work matters so much. And it is why the European Parliament will always be an ally in defending free speech, in protecting those who report it and acting when it is under threat. We have shown this through the European Media Freedom Act and through anti-SLAPP laws that stop abuse of court cases, designed especially to silence journalists. Now, as we move into 2026, it is time for member states to bring these rules into their national legislation and to go even further, to make sure that every journalist is protected.
It is my great honour to announce the winner of the 2025 Daphne Caruana Galizia Prize for Journalism. This year's award recognises groundbreaking cross-border investigation, an extraordinary collaboration involving 40 journalists from across Europe. At the helm of this investigation is Beerte Schoolhuis from Follow the Money in the Netherlands. Congratulations on your tenacity, on your vision.
We strongly believe that outlets like these are urgently needed in times like these. And we couldn't do our work without them. And we hope to continue engaging in this kind of cross-border collaborations and investigations in the future, because what we want to do and keep going to do is holding those in power to account. Once again, thank you very, very much. When Russia started the war, it pretty soon became clear that it was funded with money coming from selling oil, and that the so-called shadow fleet was used for that. And we asked ourselves, well, how did these vessels end up in the shadow fleet? Who sold them? And that was the beginning of that investigation. And then we had Follow the Money. We quite soon knew we couldn't do that on our own. So at the end, we worked together with 13 other outlets, about 40 journalists from Europe, even beyond Europe. And we tried to find the former owners of these vessels, and we did. We discovered that more than a third of the shadow fleet has been owned before by Western ship owners. More than 230 vessels have been sold by Western owners, and they made more than $6 billion by selling them. There are a lot of sanctions, but selling vessels to third countries isn't illegal. That's not forbidden, and that's not in the sanctions. And that's why there hasn't been very much attention to the shadow fleet. Once tankers are ending up in the shadow fleet, they can be sanctioned, but the step before that, selling them, because they are not sold to Russia directly. They are sold to third countries in India or in Hong Kong or the Seychelles. So it's very difficult to track them, but in the end they end up in the shadow fleet. It means a lot because it's a journalistic prize. It's named after a journalist who paid with her life for doing her work. I think it's also very important, and that's why we're so honored that we were nominated in the first place, because it honors and it recognizes journalistic work, but also these big collaborations. And we very much believe in these collaborations. They're very time-consuming, and they're sometimes very difficult, but, well, you get very nice, good results with that. And I think that if you want to investigate financial scandals or investigate EU practices, then it's very important to do that in a collaboration with different countries. So, yeah.
You can